Velkommen til Prosjekteffekt-podden. Dette er episode 60, og dette er en Prosjekteffekt Bites-episode. Mitt navn er Alexander Strand, og jobber til daglig i Multiconsult. I Prosjekteffekt Bites presenterer jeg små utklipp fra tidligere episoder i Prosjekteffekt-podden, der vi fremhever noen høydepunkter og temaer som var spesielt interessante. Prosjekteffekt Bites gir deg et gjenhør med tidligere episoder som kanskje var gått i glemmeboken, eller som du kanskje ikke har hørt tidligere. Etter å ha hørt Prosjekteffekt Bites-episoden, kan du fordype deg videre ved å gå tilbake og høre hele episoden hvis du ønsker det. Denne Prosjekteffekt Bites-episoden er hentet fra episode nummer 5 i podcastserien, der vi snakket om samspill og alliansemodeller med Allen Tadayon fra Oslo Met. Allen Tadayon er doktoringeniør med spesialkompetanse innenfor ledelse, prosjektplanlegging og kontraktstrategier, og har en doktorgrad i prosjektledelse fra NTNU med tema samspill og alliansemodeller. Han har mer enn 15 års erfaring innen praktisk og akademisk arbeid med prosjektledelse og styring av ulike prosjekter innen bygg, olje og gass, samt samferdsel og infrastruktur. Nå jobber han som førsteamanuensis ved Oslo Met. I denne episoden snakker vi om utfordringer i bransjen og hvordan ulike samspills- og alliansemodeller kan svare på utfordringene. Et spennende tema som vi er innom er spørsmålet «Hva er verdi?». Allen har skrevet en rekke artikler på området og har mange spennende perspektiver å dele i denne episoden. Det første klippet så kommer vi inn på temaet verdi, og hva betyr prosjektverdi? Allen drar frem eksempler fra prosjekter som det nye Deichman-biblioteket i Oslo, og flytoget. You talked about value-based models and relations-based models. Do you think is that the big trend now that we are developing in this direction? And can you talk a little about what does it mean? What are these models?
Yep. Thank you for bringing it up. I think value is very important to talk about nowadays. We are at a stage of, construction history that we need to pay for the value. We need to pay for the value, so we need to recognize the value. So value model is actually a model that pay the party who doing the job based on the outcome and based on the effect of the outcome. So we just not purchasing because of the lowest price anymore. We're purchasing the value. And by talking about value, one of the problems with value is some value are not tangible. So we have tangible value, we have financial capital. The money itself, it's tangible. We can see it, we can touch it. Or manufactured capital, all of these are value. Tangible value. But on the other hand, we have social value, social capital. We have human capital. We have natural capital. So these are recently recognized as value. So before this relational model or collaborative model, we were working with business model or project model, which slowly think about price. So we have this triangulation of the price, the quality, cost, and the time. Of course, that is still valid, and it's one part of different model. But now we have different kind of value. Now we understand that some values are important. One of the couple of example for make it more clear in Norway is the new example, the Deichman library. It is unique project. I enjoy when I enter this library. It is just couple of simple material, concrete, steel, and glass and wood. Yeah. But everything looks so elegant. The architecture, the light, everything is so good. So, and it's a costly project. It's a huge $1 million worth of project. But it is not a good big library. So what is there? So what is the value? It's a social value. It's a symbol for our capital. This is something that people coming to Oslo and say, okay, there is a library in Oslo at the harbor that I want to go and see it. So it is actually contributing to our social life, more than you look at it as a library that I want to go sit there and study. I don't see Deichmann in Central Station like that, or other things. I always thinking about this Flytog, the fast train from the airport to the city. When I thinking about 10 years, I don't remember how many years ago this project was built. This is a very costly project, and how they actually justify it, because if, as a user, you need to pay more than 200 to come from the airport to the city in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you can pay 100, which is less than even half of that amount, and come to the city with 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So why you should pay that much money for that 10 minutes? I don't see that's a justified reason for such a big project. But when I look at it as a fast train in capital of Norway, then I can justify it, because again, it is some other value than just financial capital or like the tangible value. We have so many of these projects, so many examples. And I think we start, learning about these values, but we don't know how to apply them, how to measure them.
Okay, let me stop you there, because I think about this. When you in project governance, when you start a project, and develop a project, you have to calculate the value of this project. What is the cost versus the benefits of this project? And these things that you talk about, this social value, how can you calculate that into your project development calculation?
Oh, very good question, Alexander. I hope I knew the answer. We have actually a project now running, we call it verdibasert avtaleformer, which is a value-based procurement format or contract format. So the thing is, we don't know. It is very difficult because, as I said, we have two problems here. How to identify these values, how to recognize them. Then the bigger problem is how to measure them, and then how to reward them. Yeah. And that's a big problem. And we are looking in the project that I just mentioned. In that project, we are focusing on engineering contract, because engineers create value through their design. Some of these values, are these, for example, social values. So they are not actually recognized or rewarded in the contract. Some other of these values are, natural capital, like consider hospital or a school that has a very good design, sustainable design for energy saving. So the amount of energy that this building will save through the life cycle of the project is not calculated as a value to be added, to the value that this design is creating. Okay. So we need to start doing that. We need to look at the whole life cycle of the project. But
we do that sometimes. I think, for example, Samspill, where I used to work, we did this life cycle analysis, and then you do this life cycle cost. But I'm not sure if you get all those values that you talk about in these models.
Yes, that's the problem. In these models, we just talk about tangible values.
Yeah, exactly.
We cannot, or we are not in the stage that we define those values yet, how to recognize them. And this project, which I said, that the whole point of this project is that to find out the value which a designer will create through a design. What is the difference between two design companies when they have the same contract? And in one of them, the designer focus on sustainability, focus on energy saving, focus on using the local material. That's also sustainability, because they go back to our, local sites. So we are in this project looking on these values, how these values can be created through design. And okay, if the value is created, now how can we measure it? How can you measure a social value of, this Deichmann library? How can you say, make it a tangible, number to say, okay, this worth $10 million? This is very difficult. So the approach is to first listing these values. And then during the contract, we should negotiate these values on the design, that these values are going to be created. There is still no concrete, solid way of measuring them, but at least we can weight them. And I think it is now in bigger projects as well. We know that there are delivery models like IPD, like Alliance, like a pure version of partnering, that there is no more competition on lowest price. It is a competition on the created value. So we have target cost, we have target value that different companies need to achieve. And also the whole cost of the project is based on those values.
Ja, som vi hørte er ikke alle verdier eller effekter som skapes i prosjekter målbare kvantitative verdier. Vi må også ha med de kvalitative verdiene. I neste bite skal vi høre mer om læring og læring av feil vi gjør i prosjekter. Er vi for mye opptatt av å tjene penger og for lite opptatt av verdi? Hvorfor samler og deler vi ikke mer læringspunkter fra prosjekter? In this podcast, we have a hunt for best practice. We try to find best practice, and I think that's an ever ongoing hunt. We're not going to find it, but we will develop. And I think about this. You can learn a lot from projects and things that are good. But do you think this industry should learn more from project failures, and how could we do that?
Definitely. I think one of the learning material in industry, especially construction industry, is failure. And that's, of course, one thing is that we always need to have a record of that. The good things or the interesting things in these relational projects is that there are always a phase called, lesson learned at the end of the project. So by closing the project, you documented these things. You document the things that happened during the project. And I think nowadays, if we start practicing such a things in Norway and in all our projects, definitely there are projects in Norway as well which do the same. But nowadays, with this digitalization, it is very easy to have a record, to have, because we are actually going toward paperless project execution, which already happened in Australia, New Zealand, some project in US. Nobody, carry, a design paper or something to the project. Everything is digital. So at the same time, it is easy to save those digital things. If, a problem come up at the site, and fix it with having a meeting, with all partners, then it is easy to just have a folder, a place, somebody record these things for future project, write some things about it. And, checking the effect of the project. What we do usually in construction project is we deliver the project and there is nothing after that. So I'm always curious, if I was running a construction company, I would like to see how my project hold up in 5 years.
Of course,
collecting
it's
the
very
effect.
Interesting. But we are in such a hurry to get to the next project.
Yes, because we're just thinking about money.
Yeah.
Because we're thinking about making more money. But that's the things about value. If we start recognizing value as a critical element in making decision, then you want to collect those information because they will help you for making a better value in your future project, or you can see what value your project bring to the society, to the user. I don't see construction companies collect the user experience after the project finish. Of course, I understand because nobody paid them to do so, and they are, having different goal. But again, this is something that needs to come out from, public organization, Statsvegvesen, Statsbygg. They need to put it in the contract that the effect needs to be collected, something like that. I don't know, some solution.
But
just raw idea.
On the website bygg.no, you have these summaries of projects. When they are finished, you have this summary. This is the project, these were involved, and blah, blah, blah. Would be very interesting if in that article it could be some lessons learned.
Yes.
What was lessons learned from this project? But I don't see that in this.
I think that's something we need to focus more. And it should, as I said, it should come from, authorities, public authorities who making big project, infrastructure project.
Yeah.
That's the place that we start making culture. That's the place, a project, a road project in the Statsvegvesen or hospital project in Statsbygg or other public organization. Those are, I think, the authority to make these demands that, collect your lesson learned and submit it with the project document.
Yeah.
That's something. The next part is collect the effect of your project. What effect it brings to the user? What effect it brings to the society? Of course, we're forcing them in the design process, but now please check if they are actualized. So I think these demands, it takes time, but I think that's the way to do it.
I det siste klippet i denne Bites-episoden skal vi høre mer om relasjonsbaserte prosjekter, begrepet tillit, og hva må til for å skape felles mål og felles insentiver i prosjekter. You mentioned relations here earlier, and I think for these models to work, you need to focus on the relations, right?
Of course.
And what do you think? How can we do that and get the right amount of trust into these models?
Trust is an interesting concept. I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I call it in my study about partnering. I divided the model to two kind of elements. I said, we have soft elements and hard elements. Hard elements are those that you can regulate them in the contract, that you can see them, like, extra meeting, format type of the contract, or these kind of tangible things. And on the other hand, we have things like soft element, which are vital for the success of these kind of model, relational model. And these soft elements are the things that we cannot feel them, or we can feel them, we cannot touch them, so they are not physical, like trust.
Yeah.
How if I go to my team in a project and ask, guys, do you trust me? And I'm a project manager. Of course they say we trust you. They never say we don't trust you. So how we can find out the trust is there? Yeah, that's also a big discussion now. There is a study in NTNU, a PhD study that working with the soft element, of course, if somebody interested more. But in my understanding and perspective, we cannot actually, build trust directly. But there are elements that are tangible elements and hard elements, but help to build up trust. How do you trust a person? First of all, you need to have so many interaction. Am I right? You cannot just say, this guy is, a good project manager, so I trust him. That's just wording. The trust coming when you work with somebody and you have interaction. So one of the things which I think it's very important in these relational models is meetings that are regulated to contract, that you have to have these meetings, like team building meeting, a startup meeting, risk assessment meeting, so many meetings. And it's come back to the digitalization, which we were talking about. But these are the things that can make up the trust, the elements that people work more together. That's one thing. Another things which I think we neglected a lot is we need to forget about our parent company when we are in the project.
Yeah.
And it is a sense of, for example, alliancing, branding.
Yeah.
When you are in an alliance project, you are employed by that alliance project. So you are not employee of Noor Consult or Multiconsult or other company.
But
you
that's
are
not where you get your paycheck,
Yes. Yes, that's the thing. So we need to bring this culture. We need to have the culture of, matrix organization structure. That when you are in the project, of course, you are in the body of this company, but so on for now, for the next 2 years, you are belonging to this project.
Yeah.
So do whatever is best for the project, not doing whatever is best for your parent company. You are in the project. If the project is success will be divided between all partners, win-win or lose-lose. These are the essence and skeleton of these models.
So that has to be regulated, right?
Yes.
In the contract, and
yes.
how that our common goals in the project will actually be good for the different companies.
Oh yes,
yeah,
exactly. That's why the first step in this collaborative model is to define an established common goal, aligned goal. It shouldn't be, too details, but at the end of the day, we need to move to the same direction if we want to collaborate, if we want to have that trust. So aligned goal and objective are, again, the first step when you are going to build up trust. And I think it's happening in this project. It is very slow speed, and I understand it. But I give you an example, Alexander. I was in Australia back in 2016, studying alliance project. So we visited or we interviewed people or managers from 14 projects. And that was very interesting insight for me while I was talking with one of these senior project managers. And he mentioned that for him or for Australian construction branch, it doesn't matter anymore which model they use. Is it partnering, alliancing, or IPD? And I said, why? Why it doesn't matter? He said, because people now know that collaboration is good. Yeah. People got to that point that they know if they bring the construction company early into the work, it gives them some value. So in their, unconsciousness, they have some recognition for this, collaboration. So they collaborate very easy. They don't need binding regulation through the contract to, push them to collaborate. But we need it now in Europe. Maybe in, 10 years, 5 years, we are in the place that we, without thinking, we know that, okay, I need to call my contractor to see what he thinks. But we don't do it now.
No.
And, we compete at this knowledge. We don't want to share knowledge. But as I said, this is another trend. We will get to the point that sharing knowledge, we will understand that sharing knowledge is good because we're improving the whole industry, we're improving the whole branch. Look at, I always make this example with my students about Tesla and how they come up with the battery. They release their research and, information about these batteries for electric cars. So suddenly we saw that each manufacturer start, making electric car. Some people thinking, okay, this was not good. They lose customer. They teach their way to other companies. But when I look at it, compare now to 5-10 years ago. 10 years ago, we didn't have that much electric car. 5 years ago, people were so skeptical. Should I buy Tesla? Oh, electric. Nowadays, nobody think about, electric car is good. Or I cannot say nobody, but the majority think electric car are a possible alternative because they are common.
They are working.
Because all companies have version of that. But if Tesla kept it for himself, it would take several years for other companies to get to that level. So we were still struggling to have other brands of, electric car. So I think construction industry also, we need to do the same. We need to find new ground for competition, not those old, elements that we compete on.
Ok, dette var bare noen få klipp av en veldig interessant samtale om samspill og alliansemodeller, blant annet IPD-modeller. Vi diskuterte også forskjellen mellom samspill, partnering og alliansemodeller, og behovet for standardmodell og felles forståelse. I samtalen med Allen i episode 5 kan du også høre mer om forskningsprogrammet Optimal tid, som handler om involvering av rett kompetanse på rett oppgave til rett tid, som har stor betydning for offentlige investeringer. Det gir grunnlag for effektiv gjennomføring, lavere driftskostnader og ikke minst bedre løsninger. Forskningsprosjektet Optimal tid tok for seg tidlig involvering av entreprenør, og det finnes nå en sluttrapport og veiledere. Du kan finne disse på Prosjekt Norge sin nettside, og jeg har også linket til disse i episodenotatene. Takk for at du lyttet til dagens Bites-episode av Prosjekteffektpodden, som ble presentert av Multiconsult. Jeg håper du fant noe som var både inspirerende og lærerikt. Hvis du vil høre resten av samtalen med Allen Tadayon fra Oslo Met om samspill og alliansemodeller, kan du gå tilbake til episode nummer 5 av Prosjekteffektpodden i din podcastspiller og høre hele episoden der. Har du innspill til tema eller personer vi bør snakke med, eller forslag til hvordan vi kan utvikle Prosjekteffekt videre, kan du sende en e-post til podden@prosjekteffekt.no. På prosjekteffekt.no og i din foretrukne podcastspiller kan du også høre alle de andre episodene i podcasten, og du kan høre vår søsterpodcast Prosjektrådet av Prosjekt Norge. Hvis du liker denne podcasten, anbefaler vi at du abonnerer på den i din podcastspiller, så går du ikke glipp av de nye episodene når de kommer ut. Vi setter også veldig stor pris på om du vil dele denne episoden eller podcastserien til dine venner og kollegaer. Jeg ønsker også å benytte anledningen til å si tusen takk til alle lyttere og bidragsytere for støtte og lojalitet til podcasten. Ok, det var alt for i dag, så da takker jeg igjen for at du var med oss, så høres vi i neste episode av Prosjekteffektpodden.
I said, why? Why it doesn't matter? He said, because people now know that collaboration is good.